Folks, stunning decision out of Memphis where an all-white jury, not from Memphis, but from a neighboring county, Hamilton County, cleared 3 of the former Memphis cops in the beating death of Tyre Nichols. This was completely stunning to so many different people. This was the state trial. Now, remember, they had already been convicted in federal trial, but sentencing was delayed until the outcome of this state trial. And because of all the attention, they chose this jury from Hamilton County, deliberated 8.5 hours. Tadarrius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Justice Smith Jr. were all charged with and cleared of second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. This is what was the verdict when it was read in the courtroom.
Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 2, we the jury find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 3, aggravated kidnapping with bodily injury. We the jury find the defendant, Tadarrius Bean, not guilty. Count 3, we the jury find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty.
Folks, absolutely shocking. Of course, the world was stunned when Tyre Nichols, when this video was released, showing him being viciously beaten to death by these cops. Joining us right now is Ben Crump, the attorney for the family. Ben, this family has to be devastated. How in the hell does this all-white jury come to this decision?
Well, first of all, you start with, Roland, the fact that it's an all-white jury when the city of Memphis is majority black. The fact that you had different rules where police seem to be the only people who they say we can't get a fair trial in the city where the alleged crime was committed, and they then get to go out and get a more conservative base to select from. It reminds you of the Rodney King, Simi Valley jury situation.
Yep.
And so, you know, I guess it's an algebraic expression, Roland. If X plus Y equals Z, all white jury, and, you know, you hope that it would be a different result, but oftentimes when you don't have people who understand black life experiences and culture, they normally don't have consideration for the dead black victim.
Ben,
that's the only thing I can come to, Roland.
Ben, this is the thing.
Video is clear.
This is the thing that we're always talking about, that what happens is when you have these juries, mostly white juries, they see the cops in a totally different light. This is one of those cases where it's clear, it's obvious. And you had 2 of the cops who pled guilty testified against them, and it's like literally, what the hell were they saying? In their mind, they literally think that these 3 cops had no role to play in the death of Tyre Nichols?
I mean, Roland, it's astonishing the fact that they didn't even find them guilty of official misconduct, even though the city ordinance and the police policy said you had a duty to intervene if an officer was committing excessive force. How can you say it was an excessive force? They watched, they listened, and as the prosecutors pointed out, they participated.
Yeah, now typically when you have a hung jury, the prosecution will have an opportunity to talk to the jurors to find out what took place. Any idea if the prosecutors talk to these jurors afterwards to figure out how in the hell they arrived at not guilty on all charges, including the lesser charges?
I don't think this jury wanted to talk to the prosecutors. If I had to guess, Roland, these jurors have a certain mentality, what we see going on the national stage in America. It's divorced of respect, I believe, for black victims. And so thank God we had Christian Clark and the feds get convictions in federal court on all
Right.
the officers, because without that, Miss Robine and her family wouldn't have had any
Yep.
justice. And keep her impressed. She is just utterly devastated.
Now,
She could not believe what she heard.
Van, no, you have to go, but the federal sentencing was delayed until this state trial. Bean and Smith both were found guilty in federal court of witness tampering. They face up to 20 years in federal prison. And Haley, who was also acquitted in state, he was found guilty on all counts. On the federal level, he could serve a life sentence in federal prison. And so this is a perfect example of what we talk about when we talking about how the Department of Justice, now the Department of Injustice, in that at least for African Americans, we could look to the federal government if we could not, if couldn't get recourse on the state level, where you had DAs who would not indict, who would not prosecute. You now have a federal Department of Justice who they'll let cops get away for stuff after they've been found guilty. Trump pardoned 2 cops who were responsible for the death of a black teen in D.C. Those 2 cops are now back on the force. And so the only thing here is that they already have been convicted. And now the question is, what will the sentencing be in federal court?
Exactly, Roland. It reminds you of elections have consequences. All those people who say, well, there's no difference between President Biden, Kamala Harris, Vice President administration versus a Trump administration. Well, I beg to differ. This is prima facie evidence that elections do matter. And I do want to remind all of your audience, Roland Martin, that June 5th will be Tyre's birthday. And so we're talking about having a big march on the 5th to say that Tyre life matters.
Well, let's also not forget May 25th is the 5th anniversary of the death of George Floyd. That is a Sunday. And we're living in a time where on the federal level, these folks want to act like that didn't exist. And then you have some people calling for Derek Chauvin to be pardoned on the federal charges.
Yeah. So we got work to do, brother. Thank
you,
Roland, for always covering our stories.
Ben, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Yes, sir.
I want to bring up my panel right now who joins me. Daniel Blackman, former Biden appointee, founder, Renaissance 94 out of Atlanta. We have a Joy Cheney, founder of Joy Strategies out of D.C. Derek Jackson, Georgia State Representative out of Atlanta as well. Derek, I'm going to start with you. I mean, my goodness. When the news came across, I got a text message from Ben about this, and I just couldn't believe it, that how in the hell could any jury watching that tape not convict these cops on any charges? It's not that they were found not guilty on the most serious ones. They were found not guilty even on the lesser charges.
You know, Roland, I'm still stunned. I mean, this breaking news continues to be breaking news continuously in our Black and brown communities. What is justice? What is justice? Where you have hard evidence, video, audio, you have concrete evidence that the law enforcement exceeded their authority and they killed an innocent man. And so when you have a verdict where you're going to acquit all of these officers, and now you had a Department of Justice, to your point, we're going to, it's the most unfortunate thing, Roland. We're going to see these things over and over again. And that's why there's a necessity of civil rights. There's a necessity of making sure that we have justice for everyone. There's a necessity to curtail this bad behavior. And when we don't do that, and we don't have a mechanism in place where a jury of 12 individuals all looking at the same tape and they acquit these 3 officers. I mean, you mentioned George Floyd Roland, this would be 5-year anniversary. And 5 years ago, every municipality, every city, every state made a plea to curtail, do justice reform. And here we are, still seeing the same thing over and over again. It's just appalling. It's unfortunate that this family is not going to get the justice that they deserve and demand. When you see this evidence that they killed him.
Joy, the point that we've been making is that, again, with this idiot in the White House, you cannot look to the federal government for any recourse. And Lord knows what the hell the Trump or the U.S. attorney, what sentencing they're going to ask for these cops, because he's been willing to let cops off for heinous activity.
Correct. I mean, he lets cops off for heinous activities. He's also let heinous white Americans who stormed the Capitol off for heinous activities against cops. There's no rhyme or reason except lawlessness is the order of the day here. And there seems to be a belief that Black lives matter just a little bit less than everyone else. This is what we meant. And what happened with George Floyd was an awakening where people understood, it felt like, they understood why we cried out and said Black Lives Matter. But this retrenchment from that is a sign that we're going back to the time, or at least people are now willing to admit what they really believe, which is that when it comes to cops, our lives don't matter. And it really doesn't matter the race of the cop. What is so hurtful here is that, we had one verdict. We don't know we had a sentencing. We don't know verdict. We don't know what the sentencing is going to be in the federal case. We have it here. There will be postmortems. I'm very interested to see how the jury could have come to this decision legally. What I pray for is peace in that community, because this is the kind of thing that would make you take to the streets. None of us are safe in this case. And it is a sign that I know you're talking, but there's a sign that when you have a jury that is all white, they simply do not understand the things that Black people undergo, which we all do regardless of socioeconomic status.
Yeah, but the thing here, Daniel, and we see this on numerous times, where white juries, especially conservative juries, in their minds, they see the cops as friends and allies.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, 3 words, and you already said them. Elections have consequences. Coming from a federal background, it's really, really important for us to understand that 5 years isn't that long ago. We clearly have not fully as a nation healed from what we all witnessed in the same year with both Derek and myself's home state with Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. And we're seeing this happen, and we're seeing a more weaponized second term of the Trump administration that I believe is going to do everything in their power to continue to uplift the law enforcement that are bad actors in many of these areas. And I think many people have made this about, progressives or liberals or regular folks against police. Look, we're against police officers that don't do their job and are not held accountable. And I think in this particular case, at a state level, I share the same concern as Attorney Crump. When you look at what is happening right now on the federal level and with Trump's Department of Justice and everything we've seen, I'm very concerned. And I'm more concerned that these companies that were the quote unquote foundation of DEI and changing their standards, changing their roles and their responsibilities, that have since rescinded that in January with the inauguration of Donald Trump, they have no further desire to see this change. And when you talk about going to the streets, as Joy just mentioned, my concern now is this administration has not only weaponized the courts, but we now may even see a scenario where if people do take this to the streets, will we see military or even further policy choices by the administration to quell that and then ultimately put activists, marchers, and folks that demand justice behind bars? We saw what those individuals from January 6th did. They were acquitted, their charges thrown out the door. The same scenario won't happen for those of us who march for justice.
Well, folks, now we'll see what happens on the federal level when sentencing actually takes place. All right.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.